Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the CoachCon podcast, up to episode 30. You might recognise the man I've got with me today. We've got Josh Errington back. The feedback on his first podcast with me was absolutely fantastic, so I thought I'm getting views, I better have him back on. So it was a really good conversation. We got into lots of stuff today. We're going to go down a little bit of a different route, as the title of this suggests. We're going to go a little bit more bodybuilding, a little bit more into the dark side of things. So Josh, mate, thanks very much for coming back on. Lovely to have you. How are you?
I'm good, mate. It's a pleasure.
Awesome.
First time was so nice that I do it twice.
Certainly. Hey, well, if we do another one, mate, you get to keep the match ball. So we'll see how this one goes. So we'll dive straight into it, being as we know who you are, we know your background, we know, obviously, first time as classic physique bodybuilding winner, something I want to replicate in 102 days' time. But for today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty. So a real conversation around gear, bodybuilding, and then responsibility. I've got a couple of stories to share today that I've never actually shared before around my own past usage and potential future usage with all this coming up as well. So we're going to get into that. So just a quick disclaimer, neither of us are doctors, we're both idiots. You should not listen to us under any circumstances. Always seek medical advice from healthcare professionals. Do not take aid, do not touch care, and I advise you to put the podcast off now. But if you're still here, we're not telling you what to do. We're not going specifically into the ins and outs of what you should do. We're not advising or telling anyone to use anything. We're just two lads, so we're in the game talking honestly about the realities of this sport. So we're both adults. We're going to do this properly. So, first question that we'll kind of get into and we'll break down. Something that we both say in gyms is a lot of folks jumping on things a little bit too early. So, why do you think that is, Josh? Do you think it's the social media side of things or just bad decisions?
I think a lot of people are lying about what they're taking as well. I reckon these pros are like taking grams and grams of gear and then coming out and saying like, oh, I've only took like 700 or 500 milligrams of tests. And I've had conversations with people who are pros and they've told me that they've never took tests, and I'm like, it is the foundation for every single cycle. Like, you probably wouldn't have a pro card if you didn't take anything. And I think people try and like replicate what they're doing. They think, oh well, if they're taking that, then I'll take this as well, and I'll get to where they are. But what people don't understand is they've obviously worked up. Like, it's the same with everything. It's like weight in the gym, like on a machine. You have to earn the right to use that weight or use that dosage of whatever you're using.
100%. And I think test is like the building block of it all. I mean, try and be open where I can with clients and that kind of thing. When I've been on TRT the last 4-5 years just because I completely tanked in terms of where I was just naturally, and had nothing to do with taking anything. It was simply just dreadful anxiety, terrible low mood, and yes, lifestyle changes help, but I think that for me was certainly what helped me get just to that baseline, because when I did my blood work, for whatever reason, I think it was 25 at the time, it was absolutely dreadful. And I think that's something that's probably worth talking about as well, that the fact that people are gradually opening up more to TRT. I think people are getting a lot wiser. I think as well, America's been so far ahead on things like that, actually prescribing it to people that need it. Whereas I know in the NHS, when I tried to go down that route before I sought help and got my bloods done privately, the NHS trying to hand out creams, and at the very best I think you can get a shot about every fortnight, which, as we know, is like not going to help anything either, is it?
No, I think there's like places you can go as well, like privately, that you can get your TRT and stuff, but I think it's like, I mean, it's good because obviously they're going to help you with everything, but I still think like the price of it is, it can be pretty mad. Like, if you know someone who can help you if you need TRT and you need to do it anyway, like if you can get some advice off someone, then obviously it's going to be a whole lot cheaper. But I mean, even then, going through the NHS and getting it every 2 weeks, your hormones are still going to be like a roller coaster anyway.
1,000,000%. I mean, for me, I've just stuck to the old-fashioned way. Like, I'll talk about this, but I've of course put my test up now with doing the competing side of things. But I was just splitting it Monday and Thursday. Previously, I just a quarter of a mil Monday, quarter of a mil on a Thursday, which I appreciate is the top end of proper TRT. We'll probably get onto that. I know a lot of people disguise TRT with a sport TRT, don't they? Saying like a mil a week, which, as we know, is basically a cycle. That's what I'm running at the moment, just in the run up to this show I'm doing, just to give us a little bit more of a boost and that kind of thing. But that's the thing as well. A lot of people, going back to what you said before, they are lying about what they take. They're lying about dosages, and I think on the other side of that as well, even people that maybe are being honest, and I think I'm going to probably do an episode further down the line when everything that I've taken is confirmed at the end of it. And I think even then people say, well, it'll either go two ways. They'll either say, well, Conrad's lying, or it'll be the thing of, he's took all that and he only looks like that. But what I'm taking is in reality a safe dose, you know, of different things that I'm kind of lining up, depending on how my look changes week to week, which is, I think, something else we can touch on as well. People aren't actually being, you know, reactive to how they look, and they're just mapping something out and saying, right, I'm going to take this, and they basically have a shopping list before they've even started a prep or even like a body transformation as well. Would you say that as well? It's like people just getting too far ahead of themselves almost.
Yeah, I think people are, like what I said before, like looking at what other people are doing and almost jumping like 2-3 steps ahead. Like, you want to be, obviously we're not advising stuff, but if you are going to take something, like, just take test on its own at a low dosage, like 200 milligrams. Even then, I've said it in my videos, like, that could be too much for you. So, yeah, like, I would never come out and be like, oh yeah, you should take 200, or you should, like, people have said, like, with everything in the gym, nothing works for everyone. It's not one size fits all. No. Like, I know people who know people who could take 100 milligrams and they were aromatized off that and got side effects. Yeah. Whereas, like, that's very, very unfortunate. Like Alex Kent, IFBB Pro, he can only take, like, I think 200 milligrams, and then he runs like a lot of Primo, and he got a pro card out of that because he aromatizes really bad and gets gyno and stuff. So, and then people are calling him a liar, and he's like, if I could take more tests, I would. It is the most anabolic, safest steroid you can take. Like, if I could take more, I would, but I can't. And it's, yeah, I think, like you say, people are just trying to jump the gun, and they're not running their own race almost. Like, they're just too busy looking at what's going on around them.
Certainly, and I think a lot as well. I think TikTok, not that I spend much time on there, I just kind of upload stuff there, but TikTok as well is something where there are some cycles that people are saying, and a lot of the time it's like 18-year-old lads taking, I mean, from what I can understand, it's not really lads over here, it's more of like an American thing, and I think even in like Middle East, things like that, they putting like a cycle on screen and putting like a before and after on. These lads they look like they've never even trained, and they wanting the supplements before they actually doing the work and getting that groundwork as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I think like America and UK is a lot different. Like, I seen a lad come up my TikTok the other day. He was 18 when he started, but he was 19 now, and it was like some of the worst guy I've ever seen, and the acne was so bad that it's gonna scar on him, like, already. And he was in the comments saying that he wasn't taking anything, and I was like, mate, people are much more clued up on this. But like you say, I think it is more over there. Like, I think over in the UK, I think you do actually get a lot of respect for being natty. Like, there is a natural community, like the NBW, I think it's called, like the natural bodybuilding. Like, you got like Jack Thorburn, AJ Morris, like Keefe, all these people who are like natty, and like in that scene, like the conditioning that they bring is like absolutely insane. So like, incredible. It is so competitive, natural bodybuilding. Like, Joe Welsh does it, who obviously I'm quite close to, and like I look at some of his like stage shots and stuff, and I'm like,
he's wonderful.
How do you pick a winner out of these, because they're all so good?
Certainly, and that's the thing. What people forget as well is how good you can get as a natural, and when you've got, as you mentioned there, Keefe, Jack, you know, AJ, Joe, those lads, you look at them lads and you think, wow, that's what you can really do naturally. And of course they are, you know, drug tested and that kind of thing, which is very good. And that should be an inspiration to people, and you should endeavour to stay as natural for as long as you can. I mean, for me, the bodybuilding's kind of came into it more the last few months where I committed to doing it properly. But in good conscience, I couldn't have just done a natural show anyway because of the TRT, which 5 years ago now I was kind of forced into, really, because of where my health markers were, when I thought, hang on, there is a bit of a problem here. But there needs to be the thing of reaching natural kind of ceiling first before you think about it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I agree, but I still didn't think I reached mine. But
Yeah,
you know, I always just thought, look, I love training. It's
that's it
my
as well.
be all and end
Yeah,
all. I know I'm gonna get on stage. I did like dabble with the thoughts of going and doing it naturally, but I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway, and
yeah,
like, you know, it's just one of them things. Like, I just think,
yeah,
like, even if I didn't compete, I'm gonna train. I enjoy training, and I take things seriously, and I don't drink or do any of that
yeah.
stuff.
That's the
So
difference
it's
as well.
like, yeah, like if you're burning the candle from both ends, like that's what Joe Richardson said to me one day, and it's just stuck in my head. Like, you can't go
That's
out and do this. Like, you can't live both them lifestyles, like going
nah.
out drinking, doing drugs, and then doing that. Like, your kidney, your liver, your heart is just gonna get hammered.
Yeah, I mean, just you quite rightly said there a couple of points we'll jump on as well. Of course, the lifestyle side of things. I mean, as someone in the past, and I'm perhaps you have as well. I mean, someone that in the past, like myself, I've used recreational drugs. I've, you know, drank too much. I mean, I was obviously over 20 clem at one point. Alcohol had a massive part in that, and anything like that, I do believe, can be a lot more harmful than the supplements, the steroids, that kind of thing that you take, particularly when there's amazing companies like Engineered Muscle and so on that are making sort of the health products as well that go alongside all this, and that protects you. That shows in blood work, and it's kind of massively helping any sort of side effect you might get. And if you're smart with things, you're going to be all right. Well, hopefully as all right as you can be, of course. But I think if you're going out multiple nights a week drinking like I used to, that is going to put you in the ground a lot quicker and a lot harder than, you know, a cycle of, you know, that's not too crazy, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, 100%. It's not as if like you're going out on the session, then coming back in and I'll get my bloods done and see what this cocaine's done to my
That's
liver and
right.
kidneys and everything.
Yeah,
And do you know what it is? I got my bloods done when I was naturally after being out on like the session the week before, and
yeah.
they're probably the worst my bloods have ever been.
Well,
And that I only got them done once naturally, then I got them done 12 weeks into my like first going on test, and
hmm
then obviously I've had them done like on prep and everything as well, and they've literally progressively gotten better, which says a lot about going out and drinking and
yeah.
doing drugs. My blood work, that was the worst blood work I've had compared to
Well,
being on gear, and that's obviously not going to be like that for everyone, but for me, I'm in a healthier place taking steroids than I was going out drinking. Physically and mentally, I'm in a better spot.
yeah, 100%. And that's the thing as well. Like you, when you've been very open about your journey and that kind of thing on your YouTube channel, and the going on the test and that kind of thing, something that you said you were going to do anyway, but as well, you had everything in order. You're already in very good physical shape. You had the training, you had the food, the lifestyle. That was just the next thing to kind of do. It's not like you put the cart before the horse and was like, right, where's my source to get this stuff, you know? You had your house in order first, didn't you, really?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
what
I
people
think
forget.
if I think another thing as well, like if you don't even know where to get it from, if you don't know where the source is, um, that's another reason why you shouldn't be going on as well. Like, you want to have everything in place. You should, if you're ready to take it, then everything should just be set up. You
Yeah,
should know who to get it off. You know
yeah,
who's going to show you. You know that your training's in a good spot, your diet's in a good spot, you're in a really good routine. You know, like you should just know. Like
yeah,
I never had any doubts. Like I remember when I first done it, the first time I didn't pin myself,
Yeah.
I got pinned off someone else, and they were like, "Are you sure? Like, you want to do it?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, like no doubts. I've already thought about this. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared or anything. Like, I was just ready to do it. I'd made my decision, and I don't regret it at all. I think some
Nah.
people do regret it, and I think it's one of them things where it's not like this isn't like trying a drug. Like, you could
No.
honestly pin yourself once and make yourself infertile. Like, obviously at the extreme
Yeah,
end
yeah.
of the scale, but you genuinely could. Like, you could like absolutely knacker your full body for the rest of your life.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, fortunately, just you touched on the fertility side there are protocols in place to get it back, but again, there's nothing guaranteed with it as well, and depending on what you take and how you respond to it. Because the other thing as well that people forget is, for all you see, maybe the balding, the acne, the oily skin, you know, that kind of thing, what's going on internally, what's the organs like, what is fertility like. That's the other side that, again, you need your defence in place to make sure this kind of stuff's not harming you long term as well, isn't it?
I think there'll be peptides and stuff in the future that'll just sort everything out, like
Yeah.
fertility and stuff. I guarantee there's just something. I know, like, people take like HCG and other
Yeah.
stuff to like get things like kick-started again, but obviously it's not always 100% for everyone. But
True.
I really do believe that there'll just be like some sort of a peptide. Take this 6-week cycle and it'll just work. There will
Yeah.
be something, like, I think that is something that's moving quite rapid as well, like the peptide scene.
Yeah, I mean, that's, for me, again, to be open with that, when, you know, when those sorts start coming out, it was like, oh, what's this? And sure enough, again, a lot of the Americans on YouTube and that were talking about things. I mean, SLU, PP332, I've took that. Amazing, you know, in terms of energy, just alertness, cardio feels easier, endurance is a little bit better. That was something very good. And I think there's a lot of other exciting ones, you know, BAM 15's one, again, 5-amino-1 MQ. They all have these kinky names and they all cost a fortune, but I think there's a lot of good stuff that's to come with them as well, isn't there?
Like BPC 157, TB
Yeah.
500, people call that like the Wolverine stack because it just. I've seen lads like do the knee in the gym and they're like 5 weeks later they're back on a leg press and I'm like, how? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I took this, and I'm like, it must work. It has
To,
to.
to be honest, you just mentioned them two there, the BBC and the TB 500. Basically, I wasn't in too bad of a way, but not so long back. I just had a few sort of general aches and pains, and training had been going well, stuff like that. But my strength had kind of shot up, and things left behind. I just thought, I don't really want to be prattling about with more sort of injectables, things like that. Of course, doing the L-carnitine, retatrutide. I'd been taking that, and I just thought, I don't want, and obviously TRT, I don't want something else. I just thought, I'll get the capsules, and to be honest, they worked. Things felt fresher after a couple of weeks. Probably, again, the more direct route is going to be localise the area, needle, that kind of thing. But because it was my knees that were aching, my shoulders were aching, you know, I still was getting a little bit of plantar fasciitis off all that bloody running I'd done last year. I kind of thought, well, I'd rather just take the capsule and try and cure everything. Sure enough, it pretty much did. But again, at a cost. I mean, I blame the capsules are dearer than getting the injectable for some reason, but I suppose just because of ease of use, really, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Should we talk about first time using?
Go on then. So, I think, well, for me, I'll be honest, I had sort of a couple of goes at it. So I did the TRT years ago, and then shortly after that, I just kind of ran my first sort of little cycle in a way, and it was at the time that I was just, again, sort of, I didn't particularly get any side effects. I got none, but I was, again, probably get into this, I wasn't like responding amazingly as well to it either. It was just kind of like, I know I'm taking something, but I'm getting no side effects. Bloods are still okay, but I didn't really particularly get anything from it. So I was a little bit of testing Anavar. I did that, and when this was getting back, I got into decent condition at one point, and I thought, right, I'll bump the test up a little bit. I used a little bit of EQ, and again, it was just kind of like nothing sort of night and day from it. But again, my lifestyle at that point wasn't in a brilliant spot. It was just who I was with at the time. A lot of trouble there, and I wasn't getting anything optimal from it in terms of lifestyle, which goes back to what we were saying earlier. Not that I was drinking and carrying on, but sleep was affected, stress very high, and it was something that I didn't do very long at all, to be fair, and I didn't get too much from it. But and I think the other thing is less is more. Like at the minute I'm on 300 milligram a test, and that is, obviously there's a couple of other things in with that, as I mentioned, the L-carnitine and so on, but everything else is absolutely fine in terms of physique and everything, but it's because everything else is optimal. Stress is absolutely fine, life's good, work's good, there's no trouble, if you like, and I think that's the other thing. When you have outside stress, that's where the trouble starts as well. But yeah, what about yourself? Because you've been really open on the YouTube, so for anyone that hasn't heard that, this is going to be great.
Yeah, obviously I got pinned. I'll not mention who it is because I probably don't really want to know. I had them hidden on the camera, to be fair. I was like, oh, I'm going to video this for YouTube. And they were like, you're not like. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get your face in and that. And they were like, oh, sound, fuck it, go on then. And then, yeah, so the first time pinning wasn't me. And then I think I used to just take them to the gym that I was training at because the lads that were in there knew more than me. So
yeah,
the first couple of times, I never pinned myself. I got like a couple of the lads that worked in the gym or whatever to help us. And then I would take it in, and we would go in the posing room, and I would be like, is this right? I would like draw it in front of them, like, because I'd draw it and backfill it into an insulin. And I always pin with an insulin needle. So I'm like, yeah, is this like fine, getting the air bubble out, all that sort of jazz. They'd be like, yeah, sound, no worries. And I remember I would like do it on my own. Mate, I put like 0.5 ml of air into me lat, like when I pinned by myself, like one of the first times. And I had videoed it and sent it to my mate, and he was like, whoa, how much gear are you taking there? And I was like, oh, I've only put like 0.2 or 0.3 ml, I think it was. And he was like, mate, you've put like 0.5 ml of air into your lap, like never do that ever again. And I was just like, sound, that could have been a bit nasty, like. But I've never had anything like funky like that since, like. But obviously it's funny to laugh on now because nothing happened, but
you
it's
got
just
away
like I had all that help and still made a mistake. So can you imagine what other people are like who, don't have the people that I had around us? I'm very, very grateful for, because I wasn't like nervous about doing it, like I said, and I still made one mistake, which could have been me last. You know what I mean?
Quite right. I mean that's the thing. I think we're very lucky in the northeast that there's numerous gyms and numerous good people where you can get very good advice. You can get sources, that kind of thing, and we are lucky to have that. I've always felt in safe hands. I've never been nervous about it. I've known people like yourself that you can go to advice for, you can bounce ideas off, and you're kind of getting kept safe in a way. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm sure he won't mind telling the story, but before, well, it was like I'd committed to doing this show and everything like that, and I'd basically been not daft. I was just trying to manage things like finances, what things are going to cost, what things do I need on hand. I'd basically written up this shopping list almost of sort of compounds, things like that. Well, I might need this, would I take that? I've heard someone's done this, would that be a good idea? And I basically, bless him, I sent it to Joe Richardson, fantastic chap, and he rang us for about 3/4 of an hour. I can't remember if I was telling this, and he was amazing. He just basically said I didn't need 3/4 of what I had, and it's because I'd just been overthinking, and I was trying to be safe. I mean, I hadn't put anything mental on. I don't think I'd put like Tren on there, Halo. I hadn't put anything like harsh on, but I was just thinking, oh well, I might need this, and should I take that? Should I try this? And he just basically cut out about 7/10 of it. Was just like, look, just say how you go, and you'll be all right. He says, what you having at the moment? Told him. He's like, yeah, just continue with that. And to be fair, that's what I've been doing since, and it's been absolutely fine. Whereas if I'd followed my thing, I think I was going to be on about bloody Anavar this week. So it just, you overthink as well. You need people to kind of look after you and give you a little bit of a hand. I mean, Kyle Bacon as well, the great guy who we know, he's looking after me at the minute as well with it, and he's been very good again. Advice, he's not sort of saying try this, do this, do that. It's just you're looking good. Continue with how it is. we'll react as we need to, which is obviously what we were saying before. But you've got to have good people around you to keep you right. It's no good going on Reddit and even YouTube to a degree as well, is it? You don't want to be getting too much information, do you?
Yeah, I think if you're going on like YouTube and stuff, it's going to be like way too broad of a thing. Like if you go and have a conversation with someone like Joe, who obviously is a class bodybuilder, I think he's probably one of the best bodybuilders who are active in the Northeast right now.
Incredible.
And obviously his advice is class, and you can have a good laugh with you, and obviously he knows who you are, and it's like, right, I can make this personal to you, and I can coach you for like 30 seconds and be like, right, you need to do this, you need to do that, or I can look at your physique, I see you in person, I know what kind of person you are, you don't need to take this, or whatever.
That was it. Yeah. That was it. It was just I'd kind of been overthinking, and to be fair, I think the sensible thing I had on there, I mean, I'd had half the engineered muscle range on there, the cardiac, the hepatic, I had all the good stuff, but I also had all the underground labs on there as well, which again at the minute I'm not requiring, and again going back to what we said, less is more. But one thing I'd be curious to know, and I'll share sort of my thoughts as well, is any negative experiences you've had on compounds you've taken, things like that, anything, aggression or anything that we think?
I think I'm just an angry man anyway, so if it's not very, very noticeable for me, then I probably wouldn't even be able to tell, because I think I can just lose my rag anyway, mate. I don't think I'm short-tempered, but I think I'm bad-tempered. Like, I can let a lot of things go. I'm not just like going off like a bomb every 2 seconds. Like, I'm quite chilled out, but I have got a bad temper, and I think to be fair, I feel like when I went on test, I feel like my head was a lot more level-headed. I don't know, I remember speaking to Joe about it a couple of weeks ago, and I just said, it's almost like you're walking around one day, and then you have like an out-of-body experience, and you're almost like looking down on yourself, and you're just like calm and peaceful, and it's weird. But I've never had north sides. The only thing that I've had when I was taking tests is someone's going to think this isn't a negative side effect, but sometimes I was like taking a long time in bed to like finish. So like obviously I was like couldn't get over the line, but not to a point where sometimes it was bad. But obviously, I'm with Beth, like she understands, so she was like, it's all right. But I've explained this to lads my age, like, look, if you go with a lass and you can't do that, not every lass is going to understand. You can explain to them all they want, but they're going to go around telling everyone, and everyone's going to have something to say, and you're going to get the piss taken out of you. So like, and I don't mind telling people whatever. I don't. No. I've actually changed my test now from enanthate to cyprinate, and I'm having like a lot better experience on that department. Like, I feel more aroused or whatever, horny more, and I feel like the sex life's a lot better on that one, which is weird. But it's just one of them things. Like that's why I've just got to see what works for you. I mean, I didn't get any bad side effects of taking an anthate. Like I've never had gyno or acne or whatever. Like touch wood, obviously. But that was the only thing that was negative for me. But I know some lads would be like, "Oh, that's great," because you can just, go at it all night. But it gets to a point where you're sweating and you're getting frustrated, and you're like, right, the amount of times you've had to just like, I'm not gonna finish after call it a day.
That's right, like. Yeah, no, it's funny you mention that, because I've had similar with that, and it's funny because I've actually learned something there from you. I never even thought about changing esters and trying cypionate, so that might be my next move. So that's interesting, that because that is a thing, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I never done it for that reason. It was just start getting off someone else, and they had cypionate, and they were like, oh yeah, it's just pretty much the same. So I was like sound, and then I was like, oh, I've just noticed this, like it's, and I said, is this like a thing, like is it in my head or whatever, and he was like, no, it could be, like that's how it works, with like the bedroom stuff and that. But I've had no side effects or anything as well. I think one thing that people do is when they tell you about taking gear or like hopping on, everyone, there's like a massive thing on TikTok of like, oh, I'm gonna hop on, and people think it's gonna change their lives and do all this. It's like, I would say people say it's like times 100 when actually it's probably about times 10. Like, of how you're actually going to feel. Like, I thought I was going to feel like Superman, have all this energy, like be kicking myself out of bed, like the start of American Dad every day, and it's not like that at all. Like
Nah.
it's an enhancement. It just enhances everything that you already are naturally. If you're naturally a lazy person, then you're going to be lazier on tests or whatever. It's not going to, it's not going to change it for the better. Like obviously it can, but if you've got bad points to your personality, it's going to make them worse as well as make all the good points better as well.
100%. It doesn't replace hard work, and that's where I went wrong. As I say, when I was in that sort of bad relationship, as I say, took a couple of bits and thinking that I mean, to be fair, it was the thinking of like, I must be the problem because I'm tired all the time, I'm not getting the gym. So it's obviously down to me. It's not the fact my soul's getting destroyed. So I must need to take this stuff to get us right, and it just wasn't the thing at all. It wasn't night and day either, and that's the sad reality of it. I mean, fortunately, I was absolutely fine in terms of I got my bloods done after there was no problems, but again, it wasn't a miracle cure for anything. If your training's power anyway, it's not going to fix it. If your diet's bad, it's not going to undo that for you. Because that's the other thing as well. There's certain compounds that are talked about as fat burners, your Mastron, your Anavar, and that's not the case either, is it? Things get probably marketed badly is probably the right way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think stuff like training, that obviously if people are going to abuse something, then they're going to abuse it, and then if you play with fire and you get burnt, it's your own fault at the end of the day. Like if you want to go and take too much stuff or whatever, if you're not going to look into something, then it's your own fault. Like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get all the help in the world and have your hand held, but if you're not, I know some people who actually know stuff about gear, and they'll still just I've had people say it I just kept asking people until they told us the answer that I wanted to hear. So they've been told no from 10 people, and then one person said oh yeah, you could do that. So oh yeah, I just wanted to hear that answer, and it's
yeah,
it's borderline addiction. I think a lot of people who are doing steroids are addicted to them.
Yeah, there was a chap I knew years ago, and he was just kind of addicted to the habit of jabbing twice a week. Oh, today's jab day. He used to come in one of the old gyms I went in, and he was always, as I say, that was his thing. He used to come in about twice a week every morning. He was on a high because he'd done his jab on the morning, and it was this, and it was 50 odd, and I was it just isn't the way to be going. I
think it's a placebo effect as well of I'd always do it on the morning just because I don't forget then later on. I know a lot of people do it on the night time and stuff, but I would just do it on the morning, then it's done. And I don't want to be lying in bed one night and be oh shit, I haven't pinned, I'm going to have to jump back up and do this. But I would always do it in the morning, pre-workout, and I'd be oh, gonna get an extra little boost in the gym. But even if it was a placebo effect, you can ride that wave a little bit and make some progress off that.
Certainly. But it's again, it's monitoring your health side of things as well. It's people. I mean, I do all my blood work through Medichecks, so of course you get a doctor's report, things like that. You get a full panel. But I think for the top end one, it's £200. But if that £200 keeping me right, then I'm happy to spend it. If it's keeping me healthy and keep my system right, so I can be here for a long time,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people aren't getting their bloods done. I know people that have been on gear for years, and I'm yeah, I've had your bloods done before, and they're nah. But they're I know everything's fine, and it's but you can't do that though. You can't just feel
no.
that. You can't feel if your kidney's alright. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's just impossible. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? They just think oh, if I don't get checked, then the problem it's not there. It's not real.
Yeah, they just. I think they're a little bit scared, and rightly so, because your body doesn't naturally produce Anavar, it doesn't naturally produce Mast or EQ or Halo or whatever the hell you're taking. And it's not used to handling crazy amounts of testosterone either, is it? It depends on what you're putting in there. I mean, we, know guys that are using a gram of test a week, and that's just the start. That's before they've put in the Mast, the EQ, and so on. It's I think longevity is something that is making more of an appearance now across social media. I think people are starting to talk a little bit about the peptides, talk about the NAD plus, I think it is, and the low dose of GH, things like that, that are hopefully going to, in some ways, inspire a bit of longevity, you know?
Yeah, I think, look, it depends what your goal is at the end of the day. Like, if you want to be an IFBB pro, you're probably going to have to abuse anabolic steroids. But if you're never going to get there, I don't think that there's a reason to. Like, you can get a lot out of, like, obviously, what's the phrase again? Less is more. Like, everyone says that. Like, and I feel like, I remember when I first jumped on, I only started on 200 milligrams, and, like, I was speaking to, like, Wendy in the gym, who's obviously a pro.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
she was like, you're only taking 200, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, you're making very, very good progress on it, and I was like, oh, well, that's nice to hear. That's obviously encouraging, because obviously I think you're going to get like body dysmorphia anyway, but sometimes you might just sit there and think like, am I making any progress? Like, am I getting any bigger? It's always good to look back on photos to be like, yeah, I am obviously getting bigger, but you might not see it visually or whatever, or you might not feel good about yourself one day, but you know, it's nice when someone like that's like, oh, you're only taking that much, like, and they kind of question it, and it's like, oh, well, I must be doing decent. I think I made a lot of progress on 200, so like you don't need loads, like, at all. I think, you know, if it's not worth it to take the risk to take more, and then you'll not even take your top off because you're going to have boobs, and then you're going to have acne all over your shoulders and back, and you're not even going to want to take your top off to show people your progress that you've made. That's
the thing. I mean, for me, I'm very conscious of. I mean, I don't mind saying in the slides. I mean, I'm very close to my mum, and when I said like I'm competing and so on, and she kind of knew that things would be. I'd be take certain things when I go and see her and things like that. She, you know, but she was just. I says, look, I says, if you say any acne, I says, if I start going bald in 2 weeks or anything like that, I says, by all means, say something, you know, and we haven't. Fortunately, she's still on board, but she's, you know, that's the thing. I think people the hear about the bad things, but you can, don't want to say get away with, but you can be health conscious and get as you say a lot out of a little. You know, if you're wise and listen to the right people, and I think you can do okay. But it's kind of get in and get out of bodybuilding. You know, it's a career is not going to be sort of 40 years or 50 years, is it? You do it, you compete, you do well, and then you kind of have a think about what's next after it, don't you, really, as well?
Yeah. Mentioning your mum as well, my mum thought I was going to like smash the house up and become like a roid rager or like whatever. Like, that's like a stereotype, I think, for like my mum's generation and stuff. Like, I knew such and such, and they smashed the house up and punched the girlfriend all over, and I'm like, but Mum, I've never done that before, so I'm not going to do it again, because like I said before, it's an enhancement of what you already are. Like, if you're a dickhead before you start gear, you're just going to be a bigger dickhead after you take it.
Right. I mean, for me, I take, fortunately, again, just touching on that, I take after me mum and not me dad, otherwise I'd probably be slightly different. But, you know, that's the thing, and if you're conscious as well that you're on these things and you're using them, then it's having a little bit of self-awareness as well, isn't it? And that's part of what we were talking about even at the start. It's responsibility, it's being adults, it's knowing that what you're taking is for a purpose, and it's not forever, and it doesn't define you as a person or your personality, does it?
Yeah, like even I posted a photo, off August when I was on prep, and I'm like, I look at that and I'm like, that's not me. Like, obviously I don't look like that now, but you got to sit back and think, look, you know, I was taking mast and I was doing cardio and my food was so low, and you know, it was the summer and I had a bit of a tan, whatever, and obviously I'm going to look better. It's the winter now, I've had no sun, you know, I'm getting bigger, it's my off season, probably holding a bit more water, but I'm not bothered, because it's like, the next time I do get down to that leanness, I'll be so much bigger, and there's a goal that's in front of you, and if you keep wanting to be lean, I think that's a lot of thing with some lads as well, like, they don't even get the most out of the gear they're taking because they just want to be lean all the time, and it's like, if you're taking a compound like Test, like, I was bulking when I was taking it, so I was like, right, let's get the most out of this. Like, this is gonna help. But if you're taking it when you're like cutting or whatever, like you're not really gonna get what you think you're gonna get out of it. Like, you should start in a lean position and build up and like actually use that testosterone to build a better physique.
Yeah, it's not a shortcut by any stretch, and that's what people fall foul of. I mean, I remember even going back years to when I was in school, you know, I remember the first mention I once heard of Anavar was when I was like 16, and trying to find out about this mythical compound one of these lads was talking about, and I'm like, looking back, thinking, fuck, we were like 16-year-old kids. Obviously, I never took it. I don't know whether he ever did, but I remember that was the first time I heard about this thing you had to take. You didn't have to inject it, and you know, and looking back, think we were 16 then, and that was before TikTok, YouTube was in its infancy. You know, there was no Instagram. Facebook was just a very old, like very new thing as well, like 14 years ago. So now it's crazy to think that TikTok's so accessible for the young'uns. Yeah, I mean, going online, and I mean, I'll just tell you a quick story. You know, when I was coming into this prep, I mean, we were chatting about Masteron and me wanting to use that, and I knew there was no sources, and I dug into, well, there was sources, but they couldn't get all of it, that's what I mean. But I dug into the internet, fell down the Reddit rabbit hole, and it was just fucking dodgy, the sites I was coming across. And to be fair, there was one that I clicked on, and I went through with it, and I even got an email saying your order's been received, you get a WhatsApp for the transfer. And the name I got through, it was like this Spanish lady's name. I was like, fuck this, I am not giving my money. And like, I didn't know what I'm getting, and I blocked it. Another number messaged, probably just picking up that email on their end. We've got your order, and it was a different name. I was like, nah, report, spam, delete. You know, and I just thought, but someone would fall for this. You know, that definitely was not legit. It was this Sofia Dela Cruz or somebody, and then this other, like again, like a Spanish, Mexican sort of name. And I was like, nah, this just is not fucking legit. Like, I'd just get out now, you know. It's bad. It's a bad world. It's a murky world, but you've got to be smart. You've got to be sensible, haven't you?
I'm glad that I've got like trustworthy sources and stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you're going out and buying stuff, it's a little bit dodgy, like. But
well, that's me. As soon as they get older, mass, that's where I'm going. I'm going back to the.
Going back to like the Anavar stuff as well. Like when you were a kid, I remember one time I was sat in the. I used to go and train at the gym group and stuff in Shields. Obviously, that's a commercial gym, and I was just I had my top off. I was just looking at my pump and stuff in the mirror as you do, and I heard some lads behind us saying like talking about Psalms and Anavar and stuff, and I had my headphones in, and I didn't have any music playing, and I took my headphone out and I was like, lads, like, don't even bother. Like, if you're gonna do something, like if you're gonna do it properly. Like, testosterone is safer than taking something like Anavar that's gonna, like, you know, it's gonna destroy your fucking like kidneys and whatever. Like, much worse than what Test's gonna do, and you're probably gonna take too much Anavar because you'd be thinking, like, you know, when I've took Anavar, I've probably only taken like 20 milligrams at a time.
I was going to say,
Started taking it on prep, and I've just added it back in. Well, we've just added it back in, me and Billy, only twice a week on certain days, just to bring up certain body parts and just to get that extra little bit of androgens in. But you know, people are probably going to look at these two little tabs and think, oh, it's not enough. Like, that's not going to be enough, and it's like they're right, because 20 milligrams of Anavar is not really going to do anything to your physique, but it's, you know, then you're going to end up taking more, and then that's when the damage is going to start getting done.
That's right. The one thing I'd say, you mentioned Mr. Wright there, something that I'll say about Billy as well, and coaches like him, they are safe. You know, that's Billy's someone, and there's folks like him as well, and are sensible and worth listening to on that front. I mean, I actually, when I was under Billy's wing, I remember, I think when I first went, we'd asked what I'd done in the past, and I told him, and he never had his near any of that, you know, in terms of dosage, anything. Even if I remember rightly, I even think my test he actually brought down a little bit once I got my bloods done at one point, and I think it was less than half a mil a week at one point, strangely enough. And again, because it was it's in his name. It was the right thing to do. You know, I'd got my Medichecks done again, and he did actually bring that down. And I think he had his microdosing as well, which is another thing that I think he had his microdosing. I'm sure he'll be sharp to correct us if I'm wrong. But again, it was just to again be safe, and that was the other thing. I mean, as you know, most of my life I spent as a fat bugger, so I've took Clen in the past, Bean, so on, and even on the Clen front, I think he only had us on 40 microgram at the very most, which is like one capsule, isn't it? And I think I took it, before uni, years and years ago, and I think I was bumping up to about 3 tablets a day at one point, thinking it was a shortcut to get my weight down, which obviously it isn't. You know, that's another thing. The fat burn is nonsense as well, unless you're doing everything else right. It's so yeah, safe use from people like him. And again, Joe, I think, is quite smart on that front. He certainly was for me when he rang us. And, you know, again, that's the people you want to be listening to, people with an education, people that are smart and actually give a shit about your health. Because I think that, again, to talk positively about, and that was one thing Billy said, you know, he was bothered about health, that kind of thing, and responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
So, again,
Billy's
smart.
Billy's a good bloke like that. If Billy turned around to us one checking in and said, right, we're gonna run a gram of gear, a gram of test, I'd trust him. I wouldn't even, you know, when a new compound or whatever gets added in, like obviously basically when I was doing my own stuff, I only done test, and then obviously Billy took over prep, and I was like, right, I know for a fine fact we're gonna have to add more stuff in here, because if you're gonna be enhancing, you're gonna do a bodybuilding, you can't just run testosterone because, you know, you need to do all that stuff. So everything Billy was giving us, I was trusting him, but I was obviously asking questions like, all right, what does this do? And what does this do? And what are the negative side effects of this? And he was like, telling us everything, and then it's still my decision that if I want to take it. If Billy says if there's nothing, like if there's something I'm not comfortable taking, I don't have to do it. And he'll give us options like, oh, we could go, like recently he's just said, oh, we could put NPP in, or we could go down the route of Primo. It's up to you. Like he's like, we could do this with this, or we have to change this and do this. It's like, all right, it's the ball's still in my court, and I know that Billy is very like big on health and stuff like that, but
you've got to be.
Know, like I said, like me and Billy obviously want to get a pro card. That's obviously the goal.
You'll do it.
And there probably will be a point where Billy's going to say, like, look, this is probably going to get a little bit funky now, but like if we want to do what we need to do, we can do this. Come out, be safe, go on TRT. You know, if we need a big health phase after we get a pro card because we've hammered our body, then, you know, then that's what we'd end up doing, because, you know, I trust him with everything.
Yeah, sure. And that's it. You've got to have faith in whoever's looking after you as well. And I'd strongly advise anyone to get a coach, or at least be getting strong advice off people around him. And I had a client the other week, and he was asking us about the peptide route, and I was like, look, well, you know, make your own informed choices. If you want my help, I'll help you with it. You know, but he kind of came to me with that, and it's something we're probably going to look at from next month. We kind of made a decision, look, let's just get a little bit further first, and then we'll have a look at it. And again, even a couple of clients from myself that I mentioned about the jabs, things like that, the Monjaros, the Retas, that kind of thing. Again, I've offered my personal experiences, but at the same time I've said, look, make the choices yourself, do your own research. I mean, I'm one of these that will link someone to a PubMed study and be like, look, read that first, and then, you know, it's you don't want to be pushing things onto people either, because you know yourself as a coach, you don't want to, you're not just trying to chase a result, you've got to care about the individual and what's right for them, you know. I mean, one of my clients, just add to that, so he's a pilot, so when he's talking about fat loss, I'm not comfortable prescribing him Clen, because he can't fly his plane if his hands are shaking, you know, and if he's flying for Jet 2, I'm sort of responsible for that. If I've said, look, you know, yes, mate, let's take the Imbean, the Clen, Chuck, you'll be fine with that, pal. You'll be, you know, you might not be, you know, and it's on my conscience that, God forbid, something happens. So you've got to have such a responsibility, haven't you, as an individual, but as a coach too.
Yeah, like, I mean, for myself, I never even experienced any of the bad side effects of Clen. I mean, based on my blood work, Billy says that I'm just like built to run gear. Basically, like I never get any of these. Like Billy always says, like, oh, some people get this and whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know about this, and then I'm like, when I take something, sometimes I'm like, trying to see, like, sometimes I'd like have my hand out like this after taking Clen, like if I was on like 100 milligrams of Clen, I'm like, am I shaking or whatever, and it's like I wasn't, I never was. But yeah, like even with the responsibility of being a coach and stuff, like I don't even coach anyone who's enhanced, and I tell people this. I've turned down young lads who have came to us and said like, oh look, I'm taking this, and I'm like, all right, well I appreciate you've told us, but I'm not going to take you on as a client, because right now my knowledge isn't where it needs to be to take on someone who is enhanced. And like I couldn't have that on my conscience if something had happened to them, or they came back and it's like, mate, my back's flared up and it's all your fault. Like I wouldn't want that on my conscience. You know what I mean? And like like the lads are like, oh yeah, I know, but it's fine, like you're taking, it's like, but I'm getting help off someone else. So like if I was going to help you, it's coming down from people like Billy or Joe or someone like that. You might as well go to them to get help. Like there's no point me being the middleman here and then I'm the fall guy at the end of the day.
That's right. 100%.
It's coming from my lips.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. And you don't want to have any sort of comeback on yourself. Well, Josh, I think we shall wrap things up there. It's been a pleasure. We've cleared the 51-minute mark, which has been mint. I think we'll have to get the hat trick up, mate. We'll have to have you back.
Might as well.
But no, absolute pleasure as always, brother. So thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate you. Remember, you can follow Josh on Instagram, Josh Errington at Coached by Errington, I believe his handle is. And of course on YouTube, typing in Josh Errington again, you'll be able to keep date with him and everything that's going on. So thank you all very much. Thank you again, Josh. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having us on.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone, we shall catch you in the next one. Take care.